Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom.
It's not my thing anymore. You guys have stolen it. I give up. It's yours. You can take it.
So Oscar the Grouch said a thing, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
So we have about half an hour before the Academy Award ceremony begins, during which I'm going to give a rundown of the only race we're here for, Best Visual Effects, and basically give vital statistics on each of the films nominated, why they might win, why they might not win. First up, this is going to be in alphabetical order, is The Creator, directed by Gareth Edwards, who some of you may have heard of. This was primarily an Industrial Light and Magic joint, although as you can see, a huge number of companies, huge number of other VFX companies worked on it. This is going to be standard for all of the Hollywood movies, but not -1.
If you only consume Godzilla media, you may know Industrial Light as Magic as behind the Godzilla vs. Barkley commercial.
They also had a major hand in Kong Skull Island, too. The Creator is probably Godzilla -1's biggest competition. It cost a lot more, but it is Hollywood, and $80 million is astonishingly cheap for how good it looks.
Yeah.
Edwards kind of combined the guerrilla-style filmmaking he used for Monsters with his experience working on Hollywood movies like Godzilla 2014 and Rogue One. He shot quite a lot outdoors in Southeast Asia with minimal green screens and a small crew, with VFX added later rather than extensive previs beforehand. And you'll see on that poster the simulants, the AI of the film. They have holes in their heads and a lot of metal parts. That is no easy feat to accomplish with VFX, and they had to do it with a lot of characters. It's also nominated for Best Sound. This is going to come up repeatedly, that films that are nominated in multiple categories are more likely to win Best VFX. It also did extremely well at the Visual Effects Society Awards, including winning the main category for live action. On the other hand, Visual Effects Society rewards aren't great at predicting who wins this category in the Oscars. And The Creator versus -1 may also have an enthusiasm gap. It actually made less money domestically and internationally than -1. The reviews were okay, but not terrific. And anecdotally, from the articles I've been reading, a lot of voters haven't even seen it.
Which I think
It's a
shouldn't
shame,
be
'cause I
allowed.
think it does.
I just don't think it should be
Right.
allowed if you're voting in a category.
Well,
Like, if you haven't
you
seen
need to
it,
see it.
if you haven't seen it, why are you voting in this category that has it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I
It's-
thought.
Well, if we learn
Well,
anything,
my understanding
I
is
have
that
issues with the Oscars.
you're supposed to abstain if you haven't seen all the movies in a category, but do people do that? Well, I've heard horror stories about Best Animated, so.
I don't think anything in this category deserves to lose. I think this is a very solid lineup of movies. And the Creator especially, how they just did the VFX by shot, where they didn't, like, from what I could gather, what is in the movie, those were the shots they animated. Like, any second after that, they didn't animate. It's a very interesting way to do it, and it keeps costs down, and it looks great. That's
Yeah,
all I
a lot
really wanted to
of
say.
a lot of the blockbusters that were considered bombs last year would have actually been successes if their budgets had been $80 million.
It's almost like movies are made for too much money now.
It's like they animate a bunch of stuff before screening it, and then when they inevitably have to cut it, they've already wasted $100 million.
Here's the one we're here for, Godzilla -1. This is the only one. This is the one with the most nebulous budget. We know it's they spent more than 1 billion yen on it and less than $15 million.
I remember Yamazaki has said that he doesn't want to say what the budget is because then it'll become the standard. And he knows it's low, but
that's pretty savvy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty intelligent answer to give. Like, I'm actually kind of amazed he's actually thinking that much of the long run.
This movie's already successful. If it becomes even more successful with like an Oscar win, then Toho won't be incentivized to raise the budget a little more if they do another one.
So -1's nomination was historic for a few different reasons. Kyoko Shibuya, the VFX director, who's worked on basically every Takashi Yamazaki film, is the first woman of color to ever be nominated for Best Visual Effects Oscar. It's the first nomination in this category for a Japanese film and for a Godzilla film, which is mind-boggling considering how many Hollywood ones there have been by now. This is fairly wild. Yamazaki is the first director to be nominated for visual effects, and Stanley Kubrick for 2001: A Space Odyssey, over 50 years ago.
Oh my god.
Wow, okay.
They just loved that space baby.
So this one has the longest list of things in its favor because I know the most about it. So the VFX highlights are having to animate and create the model for a massive CGI character, the amount of water effects in the movie. Water is one of the hardest things to animate, and recreations of post-war Tokyo and various historic ships. Everyone's talking about the budget. It looks better than most Hollywood blockbusters that cost 10 times or more, and they only used 35 VFX artists. Most movies have hundreds or thousands that get nominated for this award. It was critically lauded, and it's one of the most successful foreign language films ever released in the US. It really caught just about everyone off guard in that regard, including myself. Oh, yeah. And if anyone watched the nomination ceremony, the cheers for this movie were louder than anything else in its category, noticeably so. So there is definite enthusiasm for it. Yamazaki appears to be a master campaigner. The insider articles can't stop talking about how charming, self-deprecating he is. Everyone knows he's been carrying that Godzilla model around everywhere for photo ops. And if y'all haven't seen the photos, all four of the -1 nominees brought Godzillas to the ceremony. They're also wearing high heels with claws, serving as the heel, which I think is just adorable. And finally, we have to consider that the greater Los Angeles area is in dire peril if Godzilla swims all the way to America for the Oscars and loses. The things that are stacked against it are its lack of nominations, both at the Oscars and in other award shows. And that brings us to the obligatory Marvel film,
MCU
Guardians of the Galaxy
poopy.
Volume 3. This is the 14th MCU movie to be nominated, including the other Guardians films, but they almost never win. The last one to win was Spider-Man 2, almost 20 years ago. And before that it was the original Superman. Right. So Godzilla -1's one nomination at the Visual Effects Society Awards were Outstanding Animated Character in a Photoreal Feature, which it did perhaps understandably lose to Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of 3 major animated characters in the movie, and we were talking about it beforehand. Some of us had to have our memories jogged that there was, in fact, a 2-minute long take towards the end of this movie. Very visually impressive, but it did come out in May. This Mission Impossible movie, Dead Reckoning Part 1, is surprisingly the first Mission Impossible to get nominated for an Oscar. It also has the highest budget of any film in this category.
Jesus Christ. Holy
Jesus,
no
Christ.
Kidding.
Whoa.
Yeah, the big special effects highlight of this movie is that they built a fully functional train for the climax and dropped it off a bridge. It's just what happens in Tom Cruise movies.
I can say a lot of bad things about Tom Cruise, but I like that he's insane.
Yeah.
He's willing to push for cool shit in movies.
Him and his big hat covering half the
walking
poster.
Phoenix himself.
This Joker prequel really confused me.
The big VFX flex in this is that they expanded the armies digitally, and to have the live action actors sort of existing within the same reality as the digital actors who are supposed to be more or less indistinguishable from them is a fairly big deal. It's the most, by Academy standards, respectable of the nominees as a biopic about a major historical figure directed by a very famous and well-regarded director.
The bad guy from Metroid, I get it. We all know him.
Yeah. On the other hand, Napoleon failed to win anything at the BAFTAs or the Visual Effects Society Awards. It also got the worst reviews of any nominated film, and the last best visual effects winner to have a Rotten Tomato meter was The Golden Compass back in 2007.
And Napoleon doesn't even have a polar bear in it.
The last interesting thing to mention is that Ridley Scott was side-eyed a bit for downplaying, as a number of directors do these days, the role of VFX in the film. In particular, he was talking about one scene in the film saying, "Oh yeah, there's no CGI here." There definitely was. For those of you who aren't super up on movies and haven't seen a lot of the movies nominated, I've prepared the giant monster slate for the 96 Oscars. This is every nominated film that has a giant monster in it in the loosest possible sense of the term. I saw the best animated short film, the nominees for that with my parents a couple weeks ago, and there is in fact a scene in one, like in Barbie, sort of an allegorical dream sequence in which there's a giant pig. And that film happened to be online, so I was able to get a shot from it.
A gigapig.
Okay, but how many?
Squid, considering your history with pigs, let us not.
What? I don't
Say
even
again?
know what you're talking about.
Right, we have an extra
Visual
slot
effects is
there.
up next, guys.
Oh,
Okay,
Look sharp.
we got,
Shrek.
we're done. Don't worry about it. We got it.
And the Oscar goes to Godzilla.
Yes!
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 Let's go! It did!
baby!
Let's go!
It did! Holy
Yes!
crap!
That's
my God.
amazing.
Oh!
Let's go!
Oh my gosh! Holy crap! Chat!
That's
Okay.
crazy.
Guys, okay, hang on. I have a speech here.
No. you know.
When I was a boy, people used to make fun of me for being a Godzilla fan.
They still
They
will,
saw
but they'll be like,
Godzilla
"But that
as nothing
one's
more
good."
than a giant irradiated lizard who fought giant butterflies with bad dubbing. But today, through all of that negligence, all of that ignorance, and all of that scrutiny, we have persevered through it all and have climbed to a Godzilla movie, winning an Oscar. Let's go, everybody! Go, go, Godzilla!
It's
Go,
crazy.
go, Godzilla.
I like
Dude.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
April Banner's correct. -1.
Oh, God. So,
Holy crap, guys!
no one is allowed to complain about Godzilla's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame anymore.
He officially has an Oscar to back it up. He deserves to be there as much as everyone else. If you want a bit of perspective on how much of a sleeper win this is, all of the UK newspapers these past couple of days have been doing articles about the films they thought were most likely to win, and -1 appeared in none of them. It was all the sort of main blockbusters from the West that were touted as the most likely winners. This has come.
Wow.
This is something that I think a lot of the articles tomorrow are going to be like, this was unexpected or something. But honestly, I think this is a win very well and very much deserved.
What I'm kind of hoping, kind of pull back larger picture. I feel like a lot of American cinema, or at least what we get in theaters in America currently, it's very American centric. I'm hoping this leaves theaters giving more foreign films a chance with long runs,
God,
-1
yes, please.
God,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of cool foreign films, and that's why they get isolated to their own category, because it's 3 people saw these in America. I feel like I hope this will push, because it's outside of the normal category where it's I'm hoping it'll be not just films from Japan, but there's films produced all over the world every day that I wish would get the type of spotlight -1 got. Was the stream still
I
going,
don't-
or did Titano hit it?
Oh no, I didn't hit it. I'll hit it now.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Good night, everyone. Godzilla's an Oscar winner.
Scrimmy Fingers should have been nominated.